Have you finally decided to upgrade your old computer? Or maybe it just doesn't work anymore and it's time to get a new one? Maybe the idea of a brand new computer with all kinds of bells and whistles appeals to you. But before you upgrade, there's some things you need to know. In today's video, I'm not going to discuss the ins and outs of which machine to buy or what's the best deal. What we are going to talk about is your stuff. Because if you have an older computer, whether it's working or not, you likely have things on it that you need to transfer to the new one. Well, how do you do that? There's several different ways to do it. And how you logged into the old computer will determine how difficult it's going to be to transfer to the new one. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you understand that I am not a big fan of using Microsoft account logins. However, one of the advantages that you have by using a Microsoft account login, if you used it on the old machine and you set it up on the new machine, all of your data that's saved in your OneDrive, your documents, your pictures, your videos, Microsoft Edge settings if you use the Edge browser, desktop configurations, passwords, all of that stuff will transfer over, and it will make moving from one machine to another much easier. Now, you'll still have to configure things like your printer and any other devices that you might have plugged into your old machine. Those will probably have to be reinstalled separately, but using that Microsoft account on both machines will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Now, in today's video, the old machine that I'm migrating from does not have a Microsoft account. It is using a local account. The new machine, the customer requested a local account also. So what I'm going to do is go through some of the steps that you're going to need to do in order to successfully migrate everything over from one to the other. And even if you are using a Microsoft account on both machines, there's still some information in here that you might find useful. So regardless of what happens, we still need to set up the new machine. So before you even start messing with how to get stuff over on the old one, you need to figure out what method you want to use to log into this new computer. So you're going to first start with selecting your region and then your keyboard layout. Now on the next screen, you have the option of selecting a network. Now if you use this, you're going to need to set up a Microsoft account. Now, if you have a Microsoft account on your old machine, then this is probably the option for you. Go ahead and connect to that, and then it's going to allow you to transfer all of that stuff over from your existing OneDrive settings. If you would prefer to have a local account, you can click on the bottom left where it says I don't have internet, and then what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to create a local account not attached to Microsoft. Now in our case, that's what we're going to choose because our client wants a local account. On the next screen, you're going to click continue with limited setup on the bottom left, and then just type in a friendly name on the next screen. That's going to be for your local account. You don't have to use a password if you don't want. You can click next. And then if you choose, uncheck all of these individual options which are tied to privacy, diagnostics, location settings, and advertising and things like that. Most of the time I turn all of that off. And then go ahead and let Windows finish installation, and in a few minutes you should be up and running. As you can see here, this is an absolute basic Microsoft installation. I'm going to go ahead and connect to the internet now, and I'll be able to start downloading Windows updates and other important things. So now that I'm on the internet, I can go ahead and continue with the Microsoft Edge setup and clicking the 8,000 things that I need to click on. Eventually it will let me in. And I want it to go ahead and install all the updates that it's going to need before I start migrating from the old machine to the new one. It just really makes sense to go ahead and get this one as ready as possible, and then all I have to do is copy data over and we're ready to go. The Windows updates are installing, and now we just sit back and wait. So while Windows 10 is updating on the new machine, I'm going to go ahead and focus on getting the data off the old one. Now again, neither machine has a Microsoft account. They don't use Microsoft Edge browser. They do use Microsoft Office, but they can just log into it even with their local account. You're going to run into two different types of situations. Either the machine that you're migrating from doesn't work anymore, or the machine does work and you just decided to upgrade. In this case, this machine does still work, but I'm going to run you through an example of both so you'll know how to migrate from one machine to the other regardless of your situation. What you're going to need, if you have a dead computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop, you're going to need a way to read that hard drive, and an external drive reader is the way to go. Remember, everything I'm telling you is to keep you from having to pay somebody to do this for you. Now, 100 years ago, I started with just this basic drive. Now, it's pretty cool because it not only supports SATA, but it also supports IDE, which if you have a really, really old laptop, you might actually need this. If you have a laptop that's less than 10 or 12 years old, you probably won't use this one. I eventually upgraded from this to a 4-bay because as I got busier, I had more drives to work on, and this one only did one drive at a time. Now, as far as external drive readers go, this is my new favorite. Even though it only supports one SATA drive, it does have an M.2 enclosure, so not only can you use it for an external drive reader, but you can actually use it to clone one drive to the other, and the cloning process even works offline, so you don't even need to connect it to a computer. Fantastic toy. I absolutely love it. I did make a video a while back about how to get data off a drive from a dead system. I'll put the card up top for you. You can watch that video and then come back to this one. Either way, you have to get the data off the old drive onto the new one. You can do that by copying the data over to a USB flash drive, which case you can then plug into the new computer, or you can just use the drive reader, plug the old drive into it, connect it directly to the computer, and then you're not copying from the drive to a flash drive to the computer. You're going straight from drive to drive, which is going to make it a lot faster for you. So it looks like all the Windows updates are done. Now, as I told you earlier, regardless of how you log into the computer, there is a couple things that I always do with every new setup, and it might not be a bad idea for you to do that as well. First thing I want to do is turn off the automatic screen lock or screen timeout. So you just right click on your desktop, go to personalize, click on lock screen, and then go down to screen timeout settings. Now here you can adjust when you want the screen to turn off. In this case, I want it to stay on when it's plugged into power, and I don't want it to go to sleep. So I just make these two changes right here. Anytime the machine is plugged in, it's going to stay on and not turn off. Just close that. The other thing I always do is enable System Restore because it's disabled by default. So what you can do down in the search box is type Restore. Click on Create a Restore Point. As you can see here, it is off by default. So I'm going to click Configure, turn it on, and then just move the drive space about 15-20% of the way. Click Apply and OK. Now System Restore is on. I want to click Create a Restore Point. I'm going to call it Fresh Install Fully Updated. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Create. And that's going to create a System Restore Point that if for some reason something happens later, I can go back to. Again, that's off by default, and I always enable it and create a restore point as soon as everything is up and running and updated. I'm going to click Close and OK. So now the system is ready to go. So the only two things I have left to do are transfer files from the old computer and install any apps that I want to use on this machine. Now this client specifically wanted to use Microsoft Office and Microsoft OneDrive, so I'm going to go ahead and install those. And all I have to do is log in with my client's Microsoft information. Now it's going to back up the default folders, which is desktop, documents, and pictures, and I can go in and add folders later if I choose. Now the next thing I need to do is get the Microsoft Office installed. A few minutes later, Microsoft Office is ready to go. Now another point I'd like to mention here, and I get grief about this all the time, is people think you have to use a Microsoft account to log into your computer in order to use your Microsoft apps. Some people say that they don't work correctly if you don't log in. Well, that's not true. This is a local computer. I just installed OneDrive. I just installed Microsoft Office. And as you can see, they both work fine with a local account. Now I made a video about why you should never log in with a Microsoft account, and this is a common misconception. If you'd like to watch that video, click the card up above and you can find out more. Okay, so now the new machine is 100% ready to go. All I got to do is get the data off the old one, transfer it over. My client's machine is so old, it doesn't even have an HDMI port, so I can't even show you on her computer what you need to do to get your files copied off of it. So I'm going to show you on my computer how to do that. If the machine you're migrating from still runs, the same steps will apply for you. So on your computer, the first thing you need to do is figure out how much stuff you have. The easiest way to do that is to go into Windows File Explorer, go into your C drive, and then go to your Users folder. Under the Users folder, find your profile, which is the name that you log into. Hold down the Control key and select Desktop, Documents, Downloads, Favorites, Music, Pictures, and Videos. Let go of your mouse, right-click on the highlighted items, and click Properties. The number that pops up here is going to be the amount of space you're going to need for either a flash drive or a portable hard drive. In my case, I have way too much space for a flash drive, so I would need to copy to a portable drive. Once you plug in your flash drive, you should see something that looks like this. just make note of the drive letter. Then all these files that you had that you needed to copy, you can just right click, send to, and then choose that drive letter, and it will just copy everything over to the flash drive. Obviously, once you get everything copied over, plug it back into your new computer and repeat the process. That's a very abbreviated version of how to do it. Watch this video up here that shows you in detail exactly how to do it step by step, and then you can come back to this video. Now, if you decide to use a portable drive, which I recommend and you definitely need if your existing computer doesn't work, you basically do the same thing. Once you turn the drive on, it'll pop up in Windows as drive letter D or drive letter E. When you go to that drive, double click the C drive, go to your users folder, repeat those same steps, and then you can literally just transfer those files directly from this to your new hard drive. You don't have to use a flash drive. Either way, regardless of whether your computer works or doesn't, that's how you get your files from one computer to the other. The other thing you might need to do is back up your bookmarks and favorites. Now, if you use Google Chrome, for example, if you have logged in to your browser, those settings are going to automatically transfer over as soon as you connect your new machine to that account. Each browser does it a little bit differently, but you can go into your bookmark manager, and there will usually be an option here to export those bookmarks. Then you would just import those on the new machine, then all your bookmarks and favorites will be right there for you. So once you have the drive plugged into your external, if you plug it into your new machine, you'll see a new drive letter here, and then you can just go to your users folder like you normally would, and there are your documents and everything. Now, again, this is the method that you use if you have a dead machine and you want to take the hard drive out. Basically, it's exactly the same folders as before: desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, video. These are the folders that I'm going to transfer over to the new desktop. So with those selected, I'm just going to drag and drop them right here on top of my OneDrive, and that will start copying them over. And the added advantage of doing that is that, one, they're going to be accessible from this machine, but they'll also be backed up to the OneDrive on Microsoft. Just like that, all the files are back on the desktop. Under her OneDrive, there's her desktop, her documents, downloads, pictures, all that stuff. So we're almost done. The only thing we have left to do is install Google Chrome, because that was her preferred default browser. And now that we got Google Chrome installed, everything is working. We'll just need to sign her in and all of her bookmarks will come over. We'll install a printer. We're ready to go. So with a little bit of patience, a little bit of guidance, and a portable drive reader, you can easily migrate a working or non-working machine over to a brand new computer yourself and save yourself a ton of money. Hope this video helped you. Please let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Thanks for watching.